next week. Now, also speaking of joining us, I am joined by two glassed gentlemen because they're both wearing frames, and I'm wondering, are they twins? Are they somehow look like one looks like the smaller version of the other, or the other looks like the bigger version of the other? Anyway, good morning, Uganda Special Friday. Also, we are doing a collabo with these gentlemen here because, as you know, we always spice it up a little bit with some music so that we kick-pass you into the weekend. And I'm going to test them and put them to a task. Can they give us a track that will cause us to keep them for the rest of Good Morning Uganda Special Friday? It's entirely up to them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, that's a very wonderful Song originally done by Maurice Kiria, and the person who has just done the song actually has a resemblance to Maurice Kiria. Nzani is the title of the song, and it's a very reflective song of who are you to actually be as blessed as you are today in such a time as this, when the pandemic is hitting left, right and center, but you still have life, you still have something to do, and you still have your family. It's indeed a blessing, and you sit back and ask yourself, Mazimadara Nzani. Good morning, Uganda. Special Friday does continue with my comrades that are finally here, and I'm excited to be with them. More excited to have Molen Kenyana with us this morning. Good morning to you, Molen.
Yes, a very good morning to you, Priscilla. It's a special Friday. I like Fridays.
And you are especially smart for the weather.
Thank
it's like
you.
There's something
Thank
you know that we don't know.
There is something about bad luck this day. That's why I was avoiding black. So you guys, I'm just like, okay, sorry for you guys.
Yeah.
Usually, why is black always associated with bad luck or something?
Are they the ones who created it before the association? It's good who created the black. But the theory she's talking about is that Friday 13th, any Friday that lands on a 13th is usually a bad luck day. Have you heard of that theory, Robert, as we greet you? Good morning.
Good morning, Priscilla. Good morning, Molen. I'm happy to be in company of two gorgeous, beautiful ladies, smartly dressed to suit the spicing up of your Friday this morning. Actually, number 13 in general is considered to be bad luck. That's why when you go to most of these hotels, big hotels, that you'll find that they don't have a room that has number 13. They avoid it. Go to any hotel, I'm sure, Sheraton, Kingdom, those. Number 13 is never put there because it's associated with bad luck. So when it's Friday that comes on, still on 13th, well, the good thing is life is what you make.
A good charm.
We are making it special, so that makes it different. Ours is a special Friday. So that means we have no place for any bad luck today. It's just good luck. We're giving you good luck out there.
So I talked about, toning it down in terms of dress code for Friday, and Kirabo is always my best example. Today you're doing all black and white combination. I must say you're really very, very smart. And so for the office goers there, if you just want a toned down version, Kirabo is the person to go to the colors you're if dressed up telling us it's going to rain today, but it will depend on the weather update that she's going to be giving us. But we get to look at the last 24 hours. There are stories that have actually made headlines, both on the local scene and the international scene. And we start off by looking at the local scene.
Well, the local scene yesterday was International Youth Day, and we saw the main celebrations were held. That is at Kolo Ceremonial Grounds, and His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni blessed the function. He made some comments to the youth, and these included empowering them to work hard. That is, President Yoweri Museveni tasked youth in Uganda to be productive by taking up opportunities in the 4 development sectors the NRM government has been promoting over the years. The president said government will channel support through these sectors to enhance youth unemployment. Museveni said this during the celebrations to mark the International Youth Day at Kolo Ceremonial Grounds in Kampala. The 2021 Youth Day celebrations were held on the theme Transforming Food Systems, Youth Innovation, Human and Planetary Health. President Museveni, who informed the gathering, composed of youth leaders from across the country, that he was a former youth, asked them to engage in productive activities. Museveni said they should take up ventures in the 4 priority sectors of development. He also warned them against looking at jobs in public service. On skilling and educating the youth, Museveni called upon youth leaders to join him in advocating for free education in the country. Museveni also scoffed at politicians who are faulting the government's approach in dealing with COVID-19 pandemic.
The story, we have a vaccination update. Well, government is expecting to receive over 1 million doses of Pfizer vaccine in the next 3 months to start the vaccination of children between 12 to 18 years. President Yoweri Museveni hinted on the vaccination of children, but in the meantime, The only vaccination approved for inoculation of children is Pfizer. Now, the dream of government is to have children between the age of 12 to 18 vaccinated against the deadly coronavirus, and this partly explains why schools will have to remain under lockdown for some time. However, arrangements are underway to have over 1 million doses of Pfizer vaccine recommended by World Health Organization for the inoculation of children. In related developments, the general population is not open to vaccination, as emphasis is still on priority groups like the health workers, security personnel, teachers, the elderly, and those above 18 years with underlying health conditions. The vaccination exercise resumed on 10th of August 2021 after government received more vaccines, and 32 vaccination points have been designated in Kampala alone. Despite of this, government still appeals to the people to observe the standard operating procedures. So far, a total of 250,664 people have been fully vaccinated, and the target is to reach at least 22 million people.
Well, away from vaccination, I encourage you to go and get that jab if you're among the priority groups or due for your second jab. Please do that. The opportunity is available at various designated centers. We now move to downtown and COVID-19 SOPs, where congesting the city seems a challenge to law enforcers as numbers increase daily. However, there are roadside traders along the non-motorized transport corridor which congest the city. KCCA spokesperson Daniel Niwabine wants manpower to reinforce the decongesting exercise. Construction of non-motorized transport corridors was meant to reduce traffic in the city, ease movement, and create access to shopping malls. Decongesting Kampala was one of the prerequisites for reopening shopping malls and combating the spread of COVID-19. The non-motorized transport corridor has turned into a market vending site where hundreds have paraded their merchandise for selling, something that has created more congestion. Despite KCC efforts to see them off the streets, they are coming back day by day, and the numbers are increasing, which is bothering the law enforcers. Traders said it's impossible to leave the streets since that's where they get their daily bread. The spokesperson for Kampala Capital City Authority, Daniel Niwabine, said the exercise requires collective effort and more manpower to enforce this.
Well, we go to education, where experts in education want parents trained on parenting to nurture children with the value system. This was during a dialogue on parenting at Child Health and Development Center in Mulago. The COVID-19 partial lockdown has left many children to spend more time with parents, with some failing to instill in them morals. Now, education experts want training for parents on nurturing their children to save the generation. During a consortium meeting with educationists at the Child Health and Development Center Mulago, Fajil Mande says that formal schools only teach passing exams. And Herbert Muyinda from Child Health and Development Center says that a child needs to be safe and there is need for parents to support their children. Well, also Juliana Nauma Akulio, the acting director, Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, says that some parents need training in communication. Well, Priscilla has taken an early flight outside Uganda and ready to take us through the international news.
Well, on Priscilla Airlines, we're going to be going to Germany, and then we'll take a route to Libya and finally come back to Zambia, down south of Africa. But in Germany, authorities in North Germany have asked more than 8,000 people to get repeat COVID vaccinations because a nurse is suspected of having injected saline instead of vaccine in many cases. Police are investigating the nurse's actions at a vaccination center in Friesland near the North Sea coast. Initially, just 6 people were believed to have received the harmless salt solution there in March and April. Many of those affected were aged over 70, a high-risk group in the pandemic. Inspector Peter Beer quoted said that the 40-year-old woman had been sharing corona critical information on social media, criticizing the government's restrictions aimed at curbing the virus's spread. Regional broadcaster NDR says 8,557 people have been asked to go back for repeat vaccinations, and so far about 3,600 new appointments have been confirmed. In April, the nurse had admitted giving saline to 6 people to cover up the fact that they had dropped a vaccine vial on the floor. But as the police investigation unfolds, it becomes clear that many more people had been given saline instead of the Pfizer vaccine. Onto the continent of Africa, prosecutors in Libya have issued an arrest warrant for Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, the son of the late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, over suspected ties to Russian mercenaries. A BBC World Service investigation has revealed links between the Shadi Winer Group's activities in Libya and war crimes committed against Libyan citizens. Russian fighters first appeared in Libya in 2019 when they joined the forces of a rebel general Khalifa Haftar in attacking the UN-backed government in the capital Tripoli. The conflict ended in a ceasefire in October 2020. The Winer Group was first identified back in 2014 when it was backing pro-Russian separatists in the conflict in eastern Ukraine. Since then, it's been involved in regions including Syria, Mozambique, Sudan, and the Central African Republic. The order of Saif al-Islam Gaddafi's arrest was circulated internally to Libyan security bodies by prosecutor Mohamed Garouda on 5th August, but was only made public after the BBC's investigation was broadcasted. Zambians keep voting at jammed polling stations after poll closed yesterday, pointing to a high turnout in a showdown between President Edgar Lungu and main opposition rival Hakainde Hichilema that looks too tight to call. Polls officially closed at 6 p.m., but voters were still casting ballots at many stations visited by routers in Lusaka as darkness fell. The law allows those in the queue to vote after the official close of the polls. But as millions cast their ballots, social media platforms were restricted in the country. Internet blockage observatory NetBlocks was also blocked. Real-time network data confirmed that social media and messaging platforms including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger are now restricted in Zambia on election day in addition to the earlier WhatsApp restrictions. Zambia Information and Communication Technology Acting Director General Mulenga Krisanga did not answer calls for comment, and the restriction of internet access could fuel tension and suspicion about the outcome of the vote. Lungu said in a statement last evening that he had directed the army to send reinforcement to 3 provinces where violence had broken out and a provincial chairman of his ruling party had been killed. He blamed the violence on the opposition and said it had meant that the vote in those provinces was not fair or even free. It feels like we are back to January 14th here in Uganda. We had social media also blocked. Nigeria has blocked Twitter, and now we're having Zambia also coming out to say that as far as the elections are concerned, social media was closed off yesterday. Here we had WhatsApp. People had to use VPN, but if you're not on VPN and you're in direct data, Facebook was closed. And up to date, by the way, Facebook is still closed. So for those of you that are on Facebook, what are you using? By
someone who has died because Facebook is closed in Uganda. Someone asked that, hey, you're talking about Facebook being closed, so which death have we registered because Facebook has been closed? So if we've not registered any death, and these things sometimes because of misuse, maybe because they're relatively new to us, they're just doing us more harm than good. You know, so where countries feel that this is their presence at such a time will jeopardize national security, then it's in the interest of everybody to close them.
Is it like an African thing? Why are we having all African countries, most African countries do this? Why are we not seeing this in Europe? Why is it that an African thing? Why should we close down social media because there is going to be an election? Why is it that other countries, developed countries, do this and they have no problem with social media? But for us here, we feel like it's a threat. It makes us look bad, like we have something to hide. Even if we don't.
You have nothing to hide.
Why should you?
Why do you want to put it on social media in the first place? You have always had traditional channels of communication. We are talking about here a thing of national importance and structure, and that is an election, which has existed way before social media came into existence, and it has always been free and fair in the different regions. So you cannot tie free and fair to the fact that they're locking down on social media. They're simply not wanting you to take your frustrations elsewhere, and the world gets to know.
We cannot live in the past.
African countries could be locking up social media, but even when it comes to election time, many countries have certain measures they do. Some developed countries will lock flights from landing or even leaving, developed countries. So anything that at such a time is seen as to be jeopardizing the national security, then it is the cost to pay. Let me give you an example. I think, was it 2016? When we had Facebook and there were reports that the Kabaka of Uganda had been arrested and all that. So someone can post something that can cause chaos. So it prompted the Kabaka to walk from his palace. There had to be massive coverage to prove that this is something that has ill intentions and we are rectifying it. So let's just take an example of Uganda. We blocked social media at such a time. We went through our election. Life is back to normal. But had we maybe not taken that move, the chaos and all that would have happened. It's so expensive. The cost of peace is very, very expensive at times.
Molen's question of why isn't the Western world doing it? You know that Western world actually injects money into these social media platforms because that's where they originate from. They give them tax holidays, levies here and there for them to enjoy the luxury of being the powerhouses in social media that they are. So they definitely have different conditions for them
However,
than they
my
do
concern is
Africans.
My concern is we can work around it. We can do better. We cannot be stuck in a world where we think, okay, before social media, we were actually okay. We could just have better ways to make sure that we are secure. We have way. For example, the people who actually propagate fake news, like Robert was talking about the Kabaka instance, these are fake news, and fake news are everywhere. Everywhere. Like you will have literally people talking about it, not just on social media, but if we have to block everyone that is coming out with fake news, maybe that can help instead of taking even the innocent ones like us who are actually going about business and bringing people news that actually matter. So we just need to have a system that identifies the people that are propagating the fake news in the first place.
All right. So back in Uganda, we had platforms like Facebook under closure simply because the misuse of information and who was rightfully to relay the information, especially around our election period. You had anyone picking up on just a small thing and actually being a voice of authority. And yet we all know the authority, the official authority figures and ministries, departments, agencies in this country. But because the power of buy-in, if I am a Lumbuye kind of character, people are going to listen to me, but who's Lumbuye? You get? So that is what they were trying to deal with in terms of who is to relay the correct information about the subject matter, which then takes us to our poll question. We want to know from you. Facebook is still under closure, but why should it be reopened for Ugandans? It's very simple. Why should they open Facebook for you and for me? Hashtag UBCGMU. You can go on Twitter and be able to give us that thought or theory that you have, and that is at UBCTV Uganda. The WhatsApp line is on your screen. Why should Facebook be returned? Why should it be reopened? How are you benefiting from it? Or were you benefiting from it? Was it taking up your time? You have to look at it from that other side. Time consumption and social media has become cumbersome. Anyway, on Good Morning Uganda Special Friday, we don't waste any time. Time to check. Okay.
Live from Al Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by.
Their job is to keep you and me healthy and well. But sometimes they try in vain.
Was brought to you by.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Century Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149*10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
we just want to take this moment to say thank you to God, of course, for the life He's given us, for the opportunities, for we've been able to survive for all this long, for this long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not been easy, but yeah, we're grateful. So a lot has been going on. I want to say thank you. I've been so bad, not so proud of everything that I've done. No, no, no. Oh, I've hurt you so bad with what I say, the decisions I make, thinking that they're all just simple mistakes. But still you stay taking care of me, no matter how many times I run. And I just wanna thank you, God, for you have, yes, you've been there for me always. There for me, there for me, there for me always. There for me, there for me, no matter how many times I run. There for me, yeah. And I just wanna thank you, Lord, for you have, yes, you've been there for me always. I know so many times I disappoint you, taking you for granted most times too. But your love remains the same for me. You stay true to your promises, and your love remains the same. Cause you are the kind of friend that will never change. But still you stay taking care of me, no matter how many times I wrong you. And I just wanna thank you, Lord, for you have been there for me always. There for me, there for me, there for me always. Oh na 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 na, no matter how many times I run. There for me, yeah. And I just wanna thank you, Lord, for you have, yes, you've been there for me always. And now I know that you're everything I need to be free and happy. Yes, Jesus. Cause you have proved to be the best thing that has ever happened to me. There for me, there for me, there for me always. Oh, no, 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 no. No matter how many times I run, yeah. And I just wanna thank you, Lord, for you have, yes, you've been there for me always.
Well, it's a very interesting song there for me, and then I had a line in there that I will be picking it up from. His name is Jonas Rayme, and he gets to join us alongside Jesse on the guitar, and they are here to give you a special Friday. They are giving you sensational music and the ballads. I mean, the guys who sing like this in Uganda, you kind of see them on YouTube, they, mama. But now they're live in our studios, and we're excited to have them. Good morning to you, Jonas.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very good. Delighted to have you here.
Delighted to be here too.
Okay.
Yes.
Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning to you
How
too.
are you?
I'm good. How are you
Nice to
doing?
have you here.
Nice to be here.
So, Rayme, let's talk about your dress code. This is your Friday tone down.
Of course.
Okay. You have this pack here. I hear they call it a funny pack.
Funny pack.
Because it looks funny, or?
I don't know, but maybe because it's fun.
Okay.
It's a fun pack. I don't know. Something, because I usually see it in events and all that. You know?
Okay, so when I was a child, we actually used to have them. So I'm thinking, because we were children, we used to have them so that you keep your things together on yourself as you go to visit for parties and things like that, and for a fun reason.
Yeah,
maybe
for a fun
right?
reason.
Speaking of fun reason, you seem to do music for fun. You seem to be in your element, in your, your space.
Yeah.
What did you study?
I did graphics, design, industrial art, and design.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so that makes you an artist.
Exactly.
Okay. So I have seen that there's a difference between an artist and a musician. What's the difference?
The difference is an artist can be specifically a visual one, let's say hands and all. But then there's another artist that can just be a musician. Okay. Yeah, that can sing. Confusion. But now me, I am both.
Okay, so you're a musician and then you're a visual artist.
Yes.
I have seen your drawings. Jonas Rayme does drawings with pen and pencil.
Pencil, yeah.
Pencil.
Color.
Color.
Yeah.
So he can draw you just with a pencil and color and is very, very magnificent. How much do your drawings go for?
Depends.
On the size of the pen?
Yeah, no. Of course, how many faces are in a portrait that wants to be drawn, and then the size of a portrait.
Yeah. All right. So as an artist, what is your morning drill like?
My morning drill is usually, of course, shower fast, try to set up a few things. Usually, okay, I have a desk, but before I even go to the kitchen, find something to eat, after I shower, the first thing I do is sit on my desk, and I press my space button, and then I put in my password and see where I stopped.
Last night.
Last night.
Wow.
That's how it goes every day of my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you woke up this morning, you hit the space button. What
Yes.
did you work on last night?
I was working on
currently?
Yeah, I was working on a project. We are setting up something with a few friends of mine, and it's something to empower youths. So I was kind of making a mock-up of that, and yeah. So I wanted to see where I stopped from, and I see if I can come up with more ideas, because at the moment I'm facing a creative block, if you know what that means.
Yeah, the space where you've stopped thinking,
Yeah.
and so you need to take a break,
Yes.
then allow the mind to rejuvenate and think
yes.
again.
Yeah.
Okay, you have talked about the youth. Yesterday was International Youth Day. As a youth, what have been your challenges being able to, enjoy your craft?
Yes. First of all, I wish the things that I got to know before I actually went there, before I actually joined the industry.
Such as?
Yeah, things like you need to have your own equipment at some point. You need to know people. You need to work on your communication skills. All those things. And me personally, I didn't get a chance to know some of those things. I just went in, I attacked, and then
Which is the disease of every young person.
Of course.
Hey, we are this.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I found myself in a position where I could fall out with people, with friends, on certain things, and then I would be disappointed. Even in the music industry too, I've been disappointed. I wish I knew some things or how things are done.
Okay, so what do you share with some of these disappointments? Because there's a young person that's watching Special Friday this morning,
Yes.
and they are sort of in your lane with terms of craft artistry, and they're also having the same challenges. So what are those, blocks that you had?
At some point in my life, I went through a situation where, you know how you have the passion to do certain things, and then you realize that this is what you have that's going to bring something on the table. This is what you have to help you survive. And then you realize that people don't actually value that. They look at using that for their own good, more of exploit what you have, and then they leave you there, to, well, what? To dry out. To dry up. So that's mostly what I've been I faced at the moment. I'm not, because I've grown and I've found out solutions and how to go about this and that. But yeah, and then another thing is most youths, let's say now me, when I was in that position, I so much looked at being aided by my parents, or the people I thought were responsible for my life. But yet we have these minds that they are more than what we actually think. You know, they bear too much in them, and we don't really know that. So it takes someone that's ready to step out there and say that I'm on my own, even when you have parents that have money, you know. So at some point I realized that, okay, I'm on a later stage, but I thank God that I was able to discover that not so late, because it's what has helped me. Like, there's so many times I've fallen, but then I've bounced back, you know, so many times.
Okay. All right, so we have something interesting that we are doing on social media, and we are asking you, wherever it is that you're watching Good Morning Uganda Special Friday with Priscilla, with Jonas, Rayme, and Jesse, as well as with Robert, Kenyana, and also Ruben. Share with us the sunrise from where you are. Hashtag UBCGMU on Twitter, at UBCTV Uganda. Also, you can send it on our WhatsApp number, and we see what is the sunrise in Rampara. There's a friend of ours in Wafula. What is the sunrise? Salama Road. What is the sunrise looking like on Salama Road? I know someone else in Chireka. What's the sunrise looking like in Chireka? So take a photo of your sunrise and do share it with us on that WhatsApp number that is appearing on your screen. But also, we were inquiring from you, why should government open Facebook once again for Uganda? It's been under lockdown since the 14th of January till date. Those of you that are on Facebook, I don't know which countries you're in. Some are in France, some in Japan, Sweden, Portugal. You end up having YouTube adverts that come in and you don't understand. You're asking, how did we get there? So I'm interacting with you on this.
Yes.
What has been the impact of social media on your talent?
First of all, it's helped me expose my talent, and I've been able to engage with so many different people out there that, first of all, appreciate my craft, those that can relate with it, and those are the people that have motivated me to actually do what I'm doing more and more. And maybe, yeah, I've been able to sell my work online, and yeah, it's so far so good.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You, with the lockdown of Facebook, has it impacted you and what you're doing anyway? Or your phone alternative ways of alternative social media platforms?
Alternative social media platforms, yes. Right. Me specifically, I've not been really affected by Facebook lockdown.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yesterday on the International Youth Day, President here, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, did highlight some of the sectors where he feels youth actually can benefit from, and as government they intend to inject money in those particular areas. Mainly of them is agriculture and also ICT. As a young person, even if you're doing artistry as your craft, how would you tap into such resources?
I would go for ICT, because those things work together with the things that I do. Things to do with web, graphic design, graphic designer, web development, all those things. So yeah, it's actually a good initiative. They should put in so much money. We need startups, really. We need startups, yeah. For real.
That's what he was talking about, startups. But before we continue this conversation, can you play us just one song, and then I will return to talk about content creation that you do.
Woo! All right.
Okay.
Yo. Yo, this one goes to you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, she looks lovely. Guys, please, let's appreciate our presenter. Okay. You can join. Yeah. Amazima walungiwa kahindoko kachiralo nsawa nkutwale swichitonjiwa kuno sikusunga uyinza okuloza disi wasukuluma osinga kone kumalaika nsawa nkutwale lelo leka nkubite umutima gwange wangu wanyo omwana yoyo yeye yoyo omulungi mama omwana sikulimba amazima sikudyeka kweka buti yange ovaongo butiti bunzita towuliriza ab'engambo tebakudyeka leka nkutwale mu kadali tuwatule amatali olwoko wankotote omwana yoyo yenge yoyo omulungi mama 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 omwana yoyo yeye yoyo omulungi bambi mama mama mpulira obulawo mpulira nsalawo nannuma omwoyo buli kiro simanyi oba kiroto oba lutijo nga naye kimanye ti yegwe omulungi mama 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 omwana yoyo yeye yoyo omulungi bambi mama mama yoyo yuyajja
Yenze, don't look me mama.
omulungi naali.
Oh, that's a very nice song. You do look
Thank
at
you
it
so
very
much.
well.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, your local names are who?
Mbaleka.
Yeah.
Hey, my dad's name is Bukenya. Yes, Ngavi.
So Mbaleka Bukenya.
But it's a story name.
It's a, what's the story?
I used to be that simple boy that didn't really look for fights. Whenever I would see things, chaos, I would stay away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like, Mbaleka. Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So back to content creation.
Yes.
You write music, you produce music, but most recently on, I've seen you actually starting up content creation, vlogging.
Yes,
and, talking about different things.
Yes.
Where did it all start from?
It started from that first period of lockdown, the first wave of COVID.
2020 from
yeah,
March.
2020, yeah. I realized that there's something that I had in me that I didn't really get a chance to put out there. I've always been that stubborn kid, like I'm the clown of a family at some point. Yes, you know, when I start to talk and I'm around people that I'm free with, you might be like, could this boy speak this much or talk this much or be this loud? Yeah, so I've always enjoyed comedy. I've watched cartoons growing up, so yeah, I found myself relating to so much comedy on TikTok, first of all. So
So Nigerians versus
you know,
Ghanaians. Do you like
Nigerians. Yeah. So I decided to venture in that, and I'll be like, you know, it's something that can really take stress away from people, because that's some bit of my purpose.
Yeah.
Or I could even say entirely my purpose. Yeah, I've always looked at giving hope and inspiring people that you can do this, you can actually be funny and you get money out of it. You don't have to listen to what people have to say about you, that hey, watch you those things you get it. Hey, you know, I just express myself. That's it. As long as it doesn't come out negative, anything that's positive, I'll go.
Okay.
So that's what I decided to do for my YouTube too, because I realized that I was in a moment where I wasn't really in a position to make music, but I was cooking something, and then because of lockdown, I found myself in a position where I couldn't really.
So your first video was about what?
The YouTube?
Yeah.
Of course, I was introducing my channel and what I'm going to do.
Okay, and then in the next one?
And then the next one, I started talking about people not having to please people. Yeah, you can actually do what you want to do, what you love to do, without really thinking of, will he like it, will she like it, what will they say? Yeah.
And the last one you just did?
And the last one was about, what was it about?
Jesse would know.
It was about, I think it was about deleted messages, something like that.
Deleted messages?
Yeah, like those things of...
on WhatsApp?
Yeah.
You send a message
and then someone, deletes it, and then...
There's another app that allows you to see the deleted
those things, yeah.
You get busted.
Yeah. Yeah, so I talk about so many things, yeah.
All right, we're going to be continuing more with Jonas Rhymes here on Good Morning Uganda Special Friday. And speaking special, you are giving us another song.
Another special?
Yeah, another special. I
Yes.
in school this way. Another
know.
another special from Jonas Rhymes and Jesse on the keys.
This one is one that I wrote. I was going through a time where things weren't going well, and I kind of...
relationship?
No, yeah, in my relationship with God and people, of course. So yeah, I believe there are so many youths out there that have gone through this period when they are, you know, they are skeptical, they are worrying about what's coming next. So this song goes out to you, just to remind you that life is precious and you should really take good care of yourselves. Okay. It's called Togenda. Brother Seuliba yali muvubuka muto ng'alabika bulungi, yali ku university e Makerere wano ng'asoma bwa doctor mu mwaka gw'Ogusemba ogw'emisomo gye naye obulamu bwe nga bwakucakala. Every Fridays and weekends he had to go for clubbing, n'anywa n'atamira, kumbe li sitaani nalyo limubaza waayitambale wano. He met this beautiful girl at the club. Then they went along, ebintu n'ebiwanvuwa weyeekebeza ne bakamutema nti alina mukenenya olw'ensi n'emufundira. Najjukiramu akawala ke yasanga ku Kirabo, olwo nno ye ne yejjusa tuba tuli awo tugenda okuwulira nti yeetuze. Togenda muvubuka nkugamba, eyo sipiidi gy'oliko gikendeeze ojja kutomera. Because I know this for sure, nti obulamu bwe businga. Togenda manyi toyagala kucakala naye obulamu bw'obwo bw'amanyi gwe twekume. Cause at the end of it all, obulamu bwe businga. Ono Sister Regina yali omu ku bayimbi mu kwaya y'ekkanisa ng'ayagala nnyo Katonda nga tayosayosa ng'era every activity yajenyigira. But one thing about Regina, oh, she had a boyfriend called Sempebwa kali kavubuka kayaye nga kagala kukozesa ku Regina. Then kamusulewo, she had peer pressure. Nasalawo nno agezeeko, kumbe sitaani limusudde mu mutego. Ze wenjogerera kati ali lubuto. Togenda muvubuka nkugamba, eyo sipiidi gy'oliko gikendeeze ojja kutomera gwe. Cause I know this for sure, nti obulamu bwe businga. Togenda manyi toyagala kusanyuka naye osanyusa otya mu buno obulamu bw'ekivubuka. Cause at the end of it all, obulamu bwe businga. You're a youth of a difference, you're a youth of a purpose. Yes, you're a youth of a destiny, that's what you should believe. What the challenge is just to see. Wefukamira ku mavivigo osabe Mukama anakuyamba. You will survive, you will survive. Togenda muvubuka nkugamba, eyo sipiidi gy'oliko gikendeeze ojja kutomera. Because I know this for sure, nti obulamu bwe businga. Togenda manyi toyagala kusanyuka naye osanyusa otya mu buno obulamu bw'ekivubuka gwe. Cause at the end of it all, togenda muvubuka nkugamba, eyo sipiidi gy'oliko gikendeeze ojja kutomera. Because I know this for sure, nti obulamu bwe businga. Togenda manyi toyagala kusanyuka naye osanyusa So tell me what I'm with you, cause at the end of it all I'm we will sing out together. Thank you.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149*10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Echa COVID-19 kijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
It's super cool to be a mass superhero, to get the spread of the virus to 0. Did you know that just wearing a mask is not enough? Yes, correctly wearing a mask will protect you and others, but you still have to remember to wash your hands with clean running water and soap, or using a sanitizer, socially distance, and avoid crowded areas. Wearing a mask helps protect you and others from spreading viruses. To get the spread of the virus to 0.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Jonas Rayme there, spicing up your Friday with music, and this is what we always do every Friday. So make it a date. We spice up. We create that weekend mood. Of course, we know places where such music may not be opened, but at least we give you a feel of that every Friday, and it is Special Friday. I'm Kirabo Nyonyintono. Welcome to this segment where we look at stories that have made headlines. And this time round, still today is a day of ladies actually. My comrade chooses to absent himself, that is Ivan Kahwa, but I'm really told that he's not feeling well. So I have two beautiful, gorgeous ladies with me. Priscilla has been around, but you're also joined by Rachel Takali. Oh, I love the white and black. So Priscilla,
I am the odd man out. I get it. Yeah.
Rachel, good morning.
Good morning.
How have you been?
I'm quite well. I'm not complaining.
You're not complaining.
No.
That is Rachel, or is not complaining. I remind you of that scripture, all things work for the good of those, so you just don't complain. But Rachel, looking at the weeks, what have been your lows, your highs, in case there are any?
I think for me, the law has been I'm on a DC. Madame Kwesiga, who has launched a spirited fight against the bureaucrats in that district, disabling the Emioga program. I hope it's not a mistaken sort of approach on her part, but it's not a good thing. The high, of course, is the president's extremely generous offer to those ones who won medals at the last just concluded election, Tokyo Olympics, and their parents also. He was in a very good mood. I think he loves sports, I think. He used to play, I'm told. So that for me was a good thing.
Priscilla, highlights of your week?
Actually, Rachel said the president is, you're told he used to play. Yeah, I remember back in the day, he used to play with the members from the national team and also NRM. They used to publicize those games, football in particular. So yeah, Mr. President, even in the lockdown, do you know, he was showing us in his office how to keep fit during...
Match at Namboole Stadium, where he scored a goal.
Yes, yes, that one. So that is my throwback highlight. But yes, the appreciation for the Olympics team, and the fact that the appreciation is going to be in continuous form on a monthly basis, I think that sends a very, very significant signal to the rest that are aspiring to be athletes in that very same regard. On the low side, for me, it's the arcades. The bureaucracy and all the things that are happening around arcades being reopened, and so business are in standstills, and some traders have had to find alternative ways to actually make ends meet. After 42 days, now it's 2 weeks since then, and they're still having a challenge. They need to get settled back into the economy.
Well, for me, my law has been vaccination. Visited a couple of centers where the turn-up is very, very high, and it seems that there's lack of enough manpower or resource to carry out the vaccination. So people are turning up in very huge numbers. Even if you go now, Kampala has 32 sites for vaccination. You're going to see the long queues, people lining up there. And the biggest question could be, getting the vaccines is another headache. Even now, when they are in the country, the few that we got, people have to line up long queues. It's a struggle, and I just feel, I think we need to pull up our socks.
So in developed countries, how I have seen them actually enabling human enforcement in that direction is that they deploy people within the community, train them on how to do a vaccination, so that they then help with the human resource shortage that the medical sector has right now. Because they're shortage in terms of handling COVID-19. So what they do is they will call up recruits and then train those recruits, and then those recruits actually help in the exercise of vaccination in those regions. Perhaps we can borrow a leaf from that.
Then my high still has been His Excellency, that is meeting our medalists, and of course that gesture. And one of the things I liked so much is emphasizing his commitment. When he said, I said a month. So this is motivating people, and I know motivation goes a long way. If a person knows, even you can get yourself, your parents a house, you can get yourself a very posh car, brand new for that. Then you can also have at least 5 million, 3 million, 2 million a month. This is going to motivate people in addition to that. So that has basically been my high and low. But of course, so many stories, and we'll be diving into some of them, beginning with what might make the biggest stories of next week. That is starting Monday, where now election petitions hearing will be beginning on the 16th, which is just this Monday, and we know High Court has set up a team of 32 judges that are going to be looking at 155 petitions, and of course we have a budget of about 1.2 billion Uganda shillings to ensure this all goes well. Rachel, beginning with you, first and foremost, we know it's a constitutional right. If you feel not satisfied with the outcomes of an election, either you participate in that election or you are concerned party within that constituency, you have not less than 500 signatures, you can go to court and present your case, either nullify or whatever the judgment should be. What is the impact of this on Uganda's democracy?
Well, I think it depends on how it is handled. But of course, having that many petitions, I think overall there are 104 nationally. That's a high number for this population. So it means that our electoral system or the electoral practices are still leaving a lot to be desired. For people to turn up, to run to the courts, as opposed to accepting the verdict of the people, it means there are so many gaps that still remain. But that aside, I think the judiciary this time has been better facilitated to do what they must do. They've been bedeviled by late release of funds. They've been bedeviled by shortage of manpower. They've been feeling like a stepchild for a while now. They felt like, as the third arm of government, they were not receiving their dues. Parliament has a robust budget. The executive, huge budget. The judiciary, miserable budget. I don't know what that meant in real terms, but it hasn't served this country well. The horrendous backlog has reached unmanageable proportions. So the fact that they're boosting manpower and the fact that they're boosting their capacity overall, they have invested heavily in technology on the upcountry circuits to make sure that those ones they cannot meet in person, because they're constrained by timelines. These petitions are not allowed to go on forever. They have times within which they must be disposed of. So they're integrating the virtual approach to make sure that they meet their targets. I don't know that they will succeed because their timelines have been further slashed by the lockdown. The judiciary they scaled down their work quite a bit. So I think overall, I don't know whether it is the particular approach of Justice Dolo. You know, he has adopted this new approach. He took his case of the fact that the judiciary is severely underfunded to where it matters the most. In April, he approached the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committees, and he went to Parliament, actually. He laid his case before them, and he received a good response. There was the chairman of the Legal Committee at the time, and that is Oboth. And there was the person who was in charge of the Budgetary Committee, and that is State Minister now for Finance. But he was well received. They reciprocated, visited him also, to hear what their situation is, and I think they have reciprocated. I think what I can say is that, like I said, I don't know if it is Justice Dolo or this was in the works, but he seems to be more forceful in propagating their agenda, and it is paying off.
Well, talking about that, now we know that you're going to be having more judges. Actually, just to have a comparison, currently we have Supreme Court judges, there are 11, and the new approved structure, there are going to be 21. Come to Court of Appeal, there have been 15. We are going to have 56 in the new structure. High Court, there have been 82, and we are going to be having 151. So that is a move in the right direction. When we come to registrars, there have been 10, now we are going to be having 13. High Court, that's already mentioned. So we are going to be having an improvement in numbers. But Priscilla, still looking at these petitions, like I said earlier, it is your right. You can go to court. But many a times in the previous elections, we had over still 100 petitions. We know we are in a country where it is a developing democracy. But if you have an election and it is almost meaning some percentage of the outcomes end in court, this is something we want us to look at it broader. What does it mean for the future growth of democracy into our country? Much as one would say, this is also another way of democracy, that at least you can run to court and seek redress.
I think the future for democracy would be that with the current state that we are in, 155 cases in this particular stance that arose from the recently held elections in 2021 January, both presidential, parliamentary. We had the presidential case done, closed and dusted, when the presidential candidate Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu withdrew his case from court. Now the rest have to also, put their case forward and be attended to. I think for me, where justice should prevail is within a time frame, because these are attached to elections. Best case example is Katol Bwama, former MP for Nalwoga South, and how his case was unattended to up until he leaves Parliament to date. And that means that he was actually, whoever the judgment would have favored was benefiting and continues to benefit from these things. So if we can have a timeline if judiciary can have a timeline in partnership with the electoral process, have a timeline in which these judgments are given in these cases so that the right repercussions can be made, the right recommendations can be made, and the right justice will be served. Because imagine if you have half of these cases, you know, on the wrong side, and they're defaulters, and then that means that they've already benefited on the luxury or the money that Ugandans collect in terms of taxation that actually covers the costs of governance. That is going to put us in a very deep hole, and the continuousness of that continues to put Ugandans in a deep hole, because now if you have a member of parliament who is going to be in court for 2 years, and then that case, he actually does not win that case, but he has been benefiting from the resources, the resource pool, in terms of the benefits of becoming an MP. One, that means that constituency, that region that is represented, has been cheated. Everything he has done in that period is null and void. That means they have to go back to zero. And imagine, it has 5 years, the term is 5 years. So whoever comes in is not going to get extra years to do what they want to do for their particular area of representation. So it trickles down in different ways that will cheat the system, and those who would rather have benefited and benefited rightfully. So a time frame of saying, okay, 30 days is the period they've been given, they were given to do the submissions. Then 1 year after that, all cases should be put to rest. I mean, it's only 155 cases.
Maybe one should not actually go into parliament, be sworn in, until this case has been discarded or dealt with. Because at the end of the day, there is of course we know that they're not convicted until proven guilty. But at the end of the day, that is one thing, that someone is sworn in, then later we saw what happened in
and I think that's the, you know, the link between these different entities, that when Electoral Commission closes its books on the electoral process for presidential, parliamentary, and all those other elections, and it covers them and it's done with them, that's it. It's not their job to follow up on what happens. Then those who will appeal, have cases, will go to the judiciary. The judiciary is nowhere connected to the parliament or areas of representation that are being affected by the cases that are in parliament. So if there was a sort of a connector, a mutual ground for such an issue, because we know that it's not going to be, it's a recurring issue. Every after elections, you're going to have petitions, electoral petitions coming up. So if they can have an amalgamation of that particular issue and say that from Electoral Commission, Parliament, and web judiciary, and all the other stakeholders sit on a table and agree that for this particular nature of case, how can we deal with it so that then it will cause time frames to be put on that being attended to.
Let me bring in Rachel here. Rachel, yes, it's a constitutional right and we agree, but how best can we reduce on these numbers? Because at the end of the day, it is taxpayers' money. 1.2 billion is relatively a big amount of money, and I want to believe there is so much that can do in Uganda's economy as per now. This is what we're spending. Who knows, 2026, maybe the petitions could even have doubled, because day by day the agitation, the interest of Ugandans into politics keeps on increasing. It's becoming a do or die. It's one of the most profitable ventures we must accept to venture in this country. So how best can we tame these petitions?
I think that will improve as the country advances socially and economically in the end. It will not change in the short term because it's a do or die affair. Many of these people, it is said that on average, to become a member of parliament, you must invest at least 500 million. That's a lot of money. And these people have creditors on their case, people who want their money back. And so some have mortgaged property, others have sold land. So there is for them no way, there is no turning back. This has to be concluded, however it concludes. But I think aside from that, the people of this country, once their fortunes improve, and it's not just politics that is a gainful way of catapulting yourself forward, I think that will change, but it will take many, many years. Also, it's not just a problem of the politicians, it's a mindset which says that no one accepts loss, whether it is justifiable, whether it is true, whether it is right. There must be 1,000 winners. no one believes there is a loser until you're forced to agree to this state of affairs. So I think the people of this country will have to really reconcile themselves to the fact that they are losers and winners in every contest. Also, that they're also poor investments. Not every investment yields a return. Those are things that people will learn as time goes by. For now, they are not willing to learn that. Also, the system itself must be one that is believable. There are many people who don't believe that this system delivers justice. And so they must fight their way to a meaningful result for them. So the mindset of the people has to change. The social economic situation of this country overall has to change. The system has to adjust. And this, I fear, will take many, many years.
Well, we'll wait. Monday will be the day when all this will commence. We'll see judges of the High Court being prepared to deliver verdicts. We'll all pray that justice will be delivered. There was a person who was asking, but who's justice at the end of the day? Is it the voters? Is where we see some, or is it those that may have lost in these elections? And also one thing that many wonder, in case a judgment has been passed, say we are through in this contest, and we are going to have a by-election. It's funny that even the person who has been convicted is free to participate in the by-election. Well, so
but that's what we were talking about, the system.
The system. Then why do we have fixed? Why do we have? So because if you've been found guilty of bribing voters in an election, something you know, because that is one of the grounds for you to be disqualified, even if you've been sworn in by Parliament and gazetted, then why again are you coming back in the same election, you who has caused government to spend? By-elections are expensive. Government to redo an exercise thought had completed, then you come back, participate in the very election. Like Rachel usually says, the moral fabric of this country. There's so much that really we know.
And no one is bothered.
It's no more.
These people who should have fixed these laws a long time ago.
Who do you expect to be bothered? Clearly, you and I, even if we're bothered, there's nothing we can do about it because we don't have the power to actually make the change or even recognize that there's change that needs to be made in that particular area. Then those who we believe have the power are not willing to look in that direction. They're giving it a blind eye because of the benefits that are coming through it.
But I think that from time to time, concerned sectors try to push for some of these things to receive the kind of attention that is befitting. There has to be a day when someone, we are hoping, maybe in this parliament, maybe 10 parliaments from now, will see that this country is more than the selfishness that has taken root in this country. We still maintain hope. They've been disappointing us for years on end now. But we are still praying and hoping that they'll come to themselves.
We'll have a U-turn one day in some of these issues. Well, another story that made headlines, that is vaccination exercise. Like I told you earlier, this resumed on the 10th. That was Monday this week. And so far, we've seen a couple of people being vaccinated. The sad thing is that many people who did not get their first jab that want to may not qualify because there are specific categories and this time that are being vaccinated, and of course accept to have scarcity priority groups. But let's first take a look at the updates of vaccination in our country as we speak of it. Looking at Uganda's vaccination journey so far, a total of 1,157,251 doses of AstraZeneca were delivered into our country. Looking at people, at least those people that have at least gotten at least their first jab. Now we look at as of the 9th of August, this very year, accumulative total, or that is of 904,601 persons had received their first dose of AstraZeneca. So there are Ugandans that had received first dose. We move and look at those that are due for the second dose. Now, as of 9th August, this very year, you find that 250,664 had been fully vaccinated with AstraZeneca. Those are people we consider to be now safe due to in Uganda's population. They have received the 2 jabs and good to go. They'll fight severe illness and death. But also, you have as of 2nd August 2021, 2,739 persons were due for the second vaccine of AstraZeneca. And now the funny thing is, maybe many of these people may not end up being vaccinated, like I told you, because of some long queues. Some may give up. But the good thing is, at least there's something to hold on. Now, what are some of the priority groups? Like I told you, we saw people going there and being bounced. If you're not among these categories, you're not a priority group at such a time due to scarcity of vaccines. Here we look at individuals who are due for their second dose, have made 12 weeks. That is after their first dose. For you can go and get your second jab. You know, it's 12 weeks now or slightly above. Go and get your, I think those are 3 months, isn't it? Go and get your second jab. Then health workers. You're a health worker, automatically you qualify to go for vaccination. Teachers, and the president was very clear. He said, we need them vaccinated for us to open schools. So go and get that. Elderly who are 50 years and above, you qualify. Any vaccination centers, just reach there, prove age, and of course I think it's visible. Get your vaccination. Then security personnel. But also we are told that we expect about 1 million, that is visa for children from 12 to 18 years will be arriving in the country, and once it's there, we'll let you know. Now, I don't know my colleagues, this could be personal, but I think it's, Priscilla, have you gotten your shots yet?
No, I haven't gotten my shots yet. Yes.
Oh, well, I got my first, I'm waiting. I'm not yet due for the second. There's still some month to carry on. But let's look at this whole thing of vaccination in our country. First, people were hesitant. That is before the first wave. When the second wave, actually by the end of the first wave, we saw people were now crowding vaccination centers. As we speak today, people are yearning for vaccination. But we have challenges that we cannot meet the numbers due to the fact that our production rates are low compared to demand. And of course, the superpowers, the people that invested in this research are getting the lion's share when it comes to that, because yes, they made investments there. How best can we move forward when we know that yes, vaccination may not be for all of us, the 22 million that we are targeting at such a time? In with you, Rachel.
I think, first of all, I think thanks to the Delta variant, which is quite aggressive, and I think disproportionately lethal in terms of the variants that are known at this time. I think we are approaching a time when almost everyone knows someone who has succumbed to COVID. Yes. That has been very, very critical in propelling the masses to actually think twice about this thing called vaccination. But I think that aside, the constraints remain, and I think they will remain with us for a long time. Among them, the supplies. The ministers are on record saying that even if they had all the money at hand, they cannot get all the vaccines, given the line, other nations that are in queue already. And I think I've said this before, that one thing that needs to be emphasized is how we as individuals can protect our own health. The nation can do what it can, but it cannot provide adequate cover, not in the short, medium, maybe even in the long term. So what does the government advise the person who may not get a vaccine over the next 5 years, God forbid? How are they to cope in the present circumstances? Not long ago, I was walking near the new taxi park, and the police there have lately stepped up their efforts to remind us of our responsibilities. If you walk around there near the new park, they'll quickly grab you and lead you into a cell.
I've seen the
yes.
If you're not wearing your mask, you're arrested.
They'll quickly grab you and lead you into the nearest cell.
Please do.
You will be led into a cell. So those are the kinds of things I think that will really cause us to come to ourselves. The state interventions will be slow, some of their own making, others are beyond us. But I think the efforts to pass the responsibility, first and foremost, to us as individuals is something that I think has not been done as forcefully as should be. They've been giving us updates concerning the vaccines that are available and the interventions that are already being undertaken by the state. But I don't hear the interventions concerning how the individuals must step up to take responsibility for their own health. So I think that is lacking, and something needs to be done rather urgently. There are remedies, some of them very simple, that have been undertaken in many communities across the world, and they work. Very simple, basic measures to augment, I'm not saying they are cures, but including diet, including exercise, but I don't see how that is being pushed, and yet it could salvage the situation.
I love that there are a couple of remedies, but we are looking at more vaccination, which maybe we may not be able to reach this number. So far, you just have slightly above 1 million people that you can count on.
It's a long way to 22.
It's a long way to 22. Indeed, a long way to get there. But Priscilla, still looking at this vaccination exercise, we talked about the issue of human resource. That even where you have few centers and you have few vaccines, is a burden of human resource.
The burden of the human resource, we really can't look at it in a negative, because COVID-19, no one has been prepared for it. Even the USA is having a burden of resource, because so many nurses and doctors and medical personnel have chosen to leave the profession because of fear for their lives and protection of their families, and wanting to survive. So that has then cut on the present human resource that we have, which has become a challenge. And then when you look at just the past 3-4 months here in Uganda, for our human resource in the medical or health sector, we have been, for the government employees, they have been having an issue of backlog, first of all. Then two, the change in attendance or balance in attendance of COVID-19 vis-a-vis other diseases that they actually have to deal with has been a challenge. Then you also look at the fact that in terms of remuneration, their payment allowances for COVID-19, they have been having struggles to get that in time, which would have been a motivation, an incentive to keep them on duty. But if those are not coming through in time, then the motivation to keep in a risk place or to be on the front line of COVID-19, it makes it harder for them to make that decision every single day. But then again, you have this week the Minister for Health and Education, Honorable Janet Kataha, came out to say that in regards to supporting the health sector and the shortage that we're having on human resource, they are reconsidering opening schools, medical schools, nursing schools across the country, so that they can continue education, be able to finalize, and then get to be fed into the gap that we are seeing in the health sector for human resource. And I think that's a very considerable initiative, because the cases are increasing or are even higher than back in 2020. You'd see a report bringing you 5 cases a day, but now we are in hundreds of cases collecting a day across the country, and that is worrying. We are having continuous red zones, by the way, and so at the end of the day, we have to put that into consideration, that if there's a way we can have continuation of the education, especially for the health, supplementary to the health sector, then it will go a long way in boosting the human resource in the health sector. But also the parallel between vaccination, sensitization, and availability. I think that triangle there needs to find balance, because as much as Ministry of Health is doing a lot of sensitization in terms of vaccination and encouraging people to go to it, that's why you're seeing the high numbers at health centers, but then there's no availability of these vaccinations. And then the issue of priority groups is also coming into play, which then brings in a challenge of how do you balance the sensitization vis-a-vis what is available in the market for Ugandans to be vaccinated. But that's all we can do for this hour. We'll continue this conversation in the next hour.
Very interesting, actually, when it comes to vaccination. But also there was a very interesting story, Priscilla and Rachel. That is the Myoga Fund. Something that is really, really disturbing.
So for the Myoga thing, at the top of the hour, we have to go check out the tabloids and what they're saying, and then we're going to come back with more of the round table to finish up the conversation. Myoga is a very, very big talking point. But we're going to take a break on the round up here, and then we will be right back. Good morning.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's super cool to be a mass superhero, to get the spread of the virus to 0. Did you know that just wearing a mask is not enough? Yes, correctly wearing a mask will protect you and others, but you still have to remember to wash your hands with clean running water and soap or using a sanitizer, socially distance, and avoid crowded areas. Wearing a mask helps protect you and others from spreading viruses. To get the spread of the virus to zero.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149 *10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149 *10 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149 *10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, as we spice up your Friday with music, jokes, and everything that really creates that weekend mood, we also do that giving you relevant information. So it's entertaining and it's also informative. And it's now time we take you through the journey of some of the stories that are making headlines in the dailies. I have the New Vision and Priscilla has the Daily Monitor. Top on the New Vision, Museveni speaks out on reopening schools. Teachers on government priority list for immunization. So if you're a teacher, it is mandatory for you to get vaccinated before you can resume classes. Still, the New Vision brings you, that is the new bishop, that is Northern Uganda Diocese, gets new bishop. There is a full story on that. And yesterday was International Youth Day. The Vision still brings you events that were at Kolo, where the President Yoweri Museveni interacts with youth during the International Youth celebrations at Kolo ceremonial grounds yesterday. And a very interesting one here, but on vaccination still, that is unvaccinated MPs to be denied access to Parliament. The good things begin with you, so does vaccination begin with you as well.
And allowed the 2 million deduction. Perhaps this wouldn't have appeared. It's a theory. In Daily Monitor this Friday, we're looking at COVID-19 jobs, how health workers snub vaccination, job opportunities for you, and then Daily Monitor, black and white and bold, 358,000 teachers to get jobs before reopening. Do we have these doses available? Anyway. Okay. So that means the reopening is going to take forever because until that other batch comes in to meet this number, that's a challenge. International Youth Day, Museveni tips youth on economic growth, and I see here the launch of the 60 million trees by 2025, which goes and tallies with what came out at the beginning of the week. The electric poles stop importation, a ban put on importation, and now, yes. Yes. What do you have on the second page?
Second page here, the Uganda tracker that is on COVID-19. New death, 11 persons have succumbed to COVID-19. I will look at new confirmed cases, 157. Positivity rate stands at 4.8%. And total deaths so far is 2,832. Still, we look at facts or myth. What treatment are COVID-19 patients receiving? The experts answer that for you. Looking at history today, It was on August 13th, the year 2000, when Mau Mau demanded repatriation. That is a group of former freedom fighters from the 1950s said they wanted the Kenyan government to pursue their claim of compensations from Britain. Still, there's so much regarding twins. So if you're interested in that, there's so much the New Vision is giving you regarding twins. Priscilla.
In the daily guide, districts receive COVID-19 jabs. Then you have Uganda Airlines bosses face prosecution, even when we were told they had gone on leave. President Idi Amin from the archives and his Zaire counterpart Mobutu Sese Seko fishing expedition. Today in history, we look at Rakojo breaks national record, and also Berlin is divided into east and west. Turning my page to the sports page in the Daily Monitor, Cheptegei wants 1.7 billion to complete Elite Center. You get to look at how to support Cheptegei. The details are there for banking and mobile money. You do look at the English Premier League as it kicks off a new season. Manager Arteta wants consistency as Arsenal start season away at Brentford. And SC Villa Power Brokers give it to Senoga ahead of the polls.
In the New Vision, still Cheptegei, that is the need for 1.7 billion to complete his center. So let's be generous enough. We've always been so that we have this. Maybe we can be able to get more medals. Then also inside, that is Perth's favorite food. That is Chemtai here. They're giving you more regarding our first female winner of gold at the Olympics. That is Perth's Chemtai. And a bright future. That is according to the President Uganda Olympics Committee, that is Rukare, gives you more how it is a bright future and how we should expect more medals coming in. Uganda, our national anthem being sung there more at such high profile sports events that are international. But these and more, later on Ruben will be giving you all the updates in the world of sports.
All right, so the Myoga.
Well, very interesting. The government of Uganda has come up with a number of initiatives aimed at ensuring that they lift the welfare of people. And among them is the Myoga Fund. This was meant for groups that are actually doing the same work or the same job, so that they form a circle, then government injects money into this circle. Although there were a few requirements. Now what is happening, we are seeing in fights. And in Amrata district, despite the district having been allocated over 194, that is million to run this Myoga Fund in this district, chaos that no single group has received this money. And in addition to that, even there have been list of monies that are not part of the requirements for you to qualify for the Myoga. And Rachel, this is where I want to begin with, where even we see a whole representative of the president in this district, that is Nalwoga Eva Kwesige, also messing up still a government program.
I think this is not surprising in any way. These particular programs have not performed up to expectations. I think these interventions go way back to the NADS intervention a good 20 years ago, can you believe? And somewhere along the way, Prosperity for All was introduced. That was 2007. And then later still, in 2013, there came Operation Wealth Creation. And then along that same year, they also unveiled Youth Livelihood Program. As we're still thinking about all these things, Myoga. But at the end of the day, no one really tells us how are these things performing versus the objectives. These programs have objectives, they have ideals. I think they were meant more especially to boost agriculture, to turn the subsistence farmer into a commercial sort of actor. That has largely not come to pass. They also said that this was meant to transform the lives of the little man. It hasn't happened. Many heavyweights have come out very, very handsomely in this. We hear of, there's a big shot in this town who actually was made to return a cow. I don't know if you heard of that instance. Everybody was wondering why he would need this cow, given all his resources, given all his stature. Why would he line up for this cow? So what I'm trying to say is that people who have no business benefiting from these things have disproportionately done so. And so when you're talking about Emyoga, this lack of accountability is 20 years in the making. This impunity is 20 years in the making. These programs that have overlapped have not told us where they failed and why they failed. So why would you expect Emyoga to be different? You're talking about the parish model, but the parish is not composed of trees and houses. They are people who have been watching the poor way of doing things, and they intend to repeat it and get away with it. There are many people who have not repaid the youth livelihood funds. No one has pursued them that vigorously. Some relocated. The moment they consumed the monies, they relocated. Some created these enterprises overnight. Some had no expertise to speak of. Some were not even youth, but they ran off with the money anyway. So what I'm trying to say is that Emyoga cannot be expected to be different given this track record, unless there is a tightening of the rules and the regulations, and maybe a bringing of human beings from Mars, not these particular ones in Uganda this time. I fear we are set for the same problem.
Well, Priscilla, Rachel seems to be talking of things, some that are practically possible, others not. We are still the same Ugandans that have to transform our country. But when we look at this story, to be particular in Amulata, where you have 970 million that was disbursed in January, till today, over 400 registered groups, none of them has received this money. Some are saying, even the procedure, if I want to get 9 million, then you tell me first have 300,000, let's put on this account. They're saying maybe these are not standards that the poor people can meet.
Okay, so I have had a close experience to these projects. It's called the power of technical know-how. The people who have benefited because of the power of technical know-how, not the process of actually benefiting. And that is why Rachel might say they're not success stories, but the president here during his campaign period elections.
I said they have not performed to expectation.
Okay, the president, showed us videos of these success stories. So the success stories are there. It's just that as expectation has been put, that they have not met the generic expectation, that it cuts across the bar, that you would be having people in Nakapilipit actually praising the Emyoga program. Most recently, there was a report investigation that was done in Owino, some people who had made a circle to be beneficiaries of these projects, and to date, they're complaining they've never received a single penny. However, every single time their leader has been going to the offices to be able to realign themselves to receive these packages, every other time they're giving, there's a twist and turn. Every time they interact with the office, there's a new terms and conditions. It goes back to what Mwesite Abel said, who is the CEO for Kasita, that where is the criteria? Have an evident, known public criteria on how someone can actually benefit from these things. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of backroom beneficiaries. We're going to have a lot of the people who have been given the responsibility to extend these projects and packages to the lower Ugandan, Muntua Wansi, are the ones going to be keeping it to themselves because the publicity of criteria is not available. He said it himself, that government says they've given them 200 billion. But they go to the roundtable discussion and they're telling them criteria. The criteria are differing from government, from the banking, and from themselves. So as long as we still have that as a loophole, there's not going to be much beneficiary, and people are still going to be, livelihood is not going to change a lot, because it seems like people have to spend money to get money, which shouldn't be the case. These packages are given to them because they don't have anything in the first place. So instantly give them so that they get money, and then that way they can repay back into the economy, because that continues the cycle of trade, business, service provision in the economy, to be able to have it increasing in terms of numbers. That way, when it comes to taxations, financial years, it's okay for us to contribute 76%.
Because we're sure that we have this money. Well, for me, I'll just conclude this by calling upon people to be accountable and patriotic enough. Because for every project, because Priscilla, for every project that government, I want to tell you there is no government program that there isn't a budget or a monitoring and accountability strategy for all government programs.
You say people accountability. I think it was late last year when we had one of the, I think the office of the IGG saying that now the community should be engaged in helping us account for these things. Those that are saying that they are brokers in this business and they are, you know, corruption. Now you help us to find the corrupt people. Really? How?
But you see, these are some of the things that I find sometimes maybe unserious enough. Because for every mistake in this country, there are people that you can hold accountable. I loved it when the task force, parliamentary task force, surrendered the RDC for recording statements and interrogation. Because the people have, for a number of government programs, I'm pretty sure sometimes even the budget for accountability is very massive. There is wealth creation.
The one to save the 99. You sacrifice the one for publicity's sake to save the 99 who are still continuing with the same thing.
We just hope and pray that we shall wake up when accountability is something that we are prioritizing as a country. There's love for one's country, and of course people up their game. Otherwise, all this will remain just something we shall end up duplicating program after program, yet get minimal results out of that. However, Molen Kenyana she's just ready to take us through more of our interesting morning. That is a special Friday that we always ensure we create that mood, spice up your mornings with music and information. Over to you, Molen.
Yes, thank you very much, Robert. Yes, it is a Friday where we give you all the spices just from interesting stories, the ones that actually are important to you and to us that we need to share with you, to the music. But now let's take a look at the weather prospects. Well, this morning we started off with very devastating stories coming in from Turkey, yet another flood over that region. Now this did happen on in Black Sea region. Now this flood has claimed over 17 people reported dead and more homes being destroyed. These are also a result of the heavy rains that were over there and also from the sea itself. Now these are raging across town and they were sending debris throughout the town, and this really destroyed the streets, damaging bridges, ripped out roads. And this is the second natural disaster to strike the country this month. Now, away from the floods, this very region has also been hit by wildfires throughout this month. And the fires actually killed 8 people and devastated tens of thousands of hectares of forests, struck in the same week that the UN panel said that global warming is dangerously close to spiraling out of control. I can tell you it is already out of control. But also in another story this morning that is coming to us is from Bill Gates. Now Bill Gates, that is the co-founder of Microsoft, has injected money. He has pledged 1.5 billion over 3 years for climate change partnerships with the Department of Energy through his climate investment fund, Breakthrough Energy. Well, the billionaire has put this money strictly to look into other projects that directly are concerned with climate action. Now, he also says avoiding a climate disaster will require new industrial revolution, which we need to make the technologies and products that don't cause emissions as cheap as those that do, reducing what he calls green premiums. Now, so the whole world can afford them and also reach climate goals. Well, this seems to be something that, as he talks about, it is a risky business, but Bill Gates is ready to actually embark on this journey and look through what we can do in terms of climate actions. It is very clear that much of what we're doing right now, especially burning of fossil fuels, is what is contributing to much of the emissions that we have within the atmosphere. Now, recently, the numbers that we have looked at in terms of carbon dioxide emissions are devastating, I can tell you that. And at this level, we cannot wait until 2050 to realize that this is threatening our world and threatening development. So if people like Bill Gates are coming up to make sure that the infrastructure we're putting up for climate action are actually looking more about renewable energy, this is something good. And I like what he talks about, giving products that are actually as cheap as the ones that we produce with the non-renewable energy. This is a very smart move. It's risky business, but he is donating to the fund that is going to help bring out and realize his goals with climate action. Well, we need more Bill Gates coming through. Now back to what we have over satellite here in Uganda. This morning we have been dealing with rainy conditions, that is across the Lake Kyoga region. That area did start off with a rainy system that is now heading westwards towards Mubende. This area can expect to have more rainy conditions. This system is also headed towards Hoima, and we do expect rains over there. Well, we have one that is developing over Lake Victoria, that is to the central Lake Victoria region, that is already bringing us rains across the islands of Lake Victoria and also towards parts of Kampala. That system might reach, and that will be bringing us rains over a few areas. Now the system in central across Lake Kyoga region is also headed westwards. Midwestern Uganda, I'm already seeing some of those clouds starting to develop, and those could bring us rains later as the morning progresses. Otherwise, the rest of the country, we are still dealing with intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. We do have mostly cloudy conditions right now in Kampala and much of Lake Victoria Basin, but we're also expecting those rains to come through across different areas. Take a look at eastern Uganda and Karamoja here. Very clear skies for now. That means we are dealing with mostly sunny conditions, but we are also seeing those cloudy conditions starting to form up across northern Uganda and towards West Nile. But for now, West Nile is dealing mostly with those intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. Well, much of what we have actually this morning is just intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, but we do expect rainy conditions to set in later as the day goes by, especially across Mbale region. Right now, we do have mostly clear skies, but clouds will be forming later on in the afternoon. According to what we're seeing from the satellites, most clouds are actually developing across central and midwestern Uganda. Now the one in Lake Victoria is also heading westwards. Western Lake Victoria Basin, that is Masaka, that area can expect to have some rains this morning and also later into the afternoon. But we'll go ahead and take a look at our forecast and give you more of what we're seeing across the country. Well, today we're actually having more cold conditions still across western Lake Victoria Basin, that is from Masaka, Sembabule, Rakai and Kalisizo. We are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine. Temperatures are forecasted to be at 24 degrees centigrade. Very cold morning over there. Well, southwestern Uganda, we do have Mbarara, even Davoshenyi, also chilly morning over there at 24 degrees centigrade. We're also forecasting to have those very light showers, but that will be over a few places, so higher chances are most places within this region won't be seeing these rains. Well, moving on to what we have for you for Mount Elgon Highlands, that is where we have Mbale, Bududa, Buko and Sironko. We are forecasting those rainy conditions to come through also over a few places, starting off at also a cool 25 degrees centigrade. Well, eastern parts of Lake Victoria, that is where we have Tororo, Busia, Iganga, as that rain system from the lake comes through. We're expecting it to dump some of those rains over that region, also starting off with a cold morning at 25 degrees centigrade over that area. We do have Iganga, Busia in that category. Well, eastern Uganda, where we have Soroti, Katakwi, Amuria and Kumi, we are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine. Quite a warm morning over there at 27 degrees centigrade, but we do expect these temperatures to go up high in the afternoon, reaching up to 29, also to 30 degrees over that region. Do look out for those warm conditions in the afternoon. Well, eastern parts of central, that is where we have Luwero, Wobolenzi, Nakaseke. We do have Nakasongola over that region. We are forecasting to have light rains across a few areas. Temperatures are quite cooler than what we had yesterday. Remember, yesterday we started off with 26, but now we're seeing 25 over that region. Going across central northern Uganda, that is where we have Gulu, Kitgum, Padel, and Jumani. We are forecasting those light rains again. Already the clouds are starting to form up, and those will be bringing us rains not just this morning, but later into the afternoon. We are likely to have these rains continue, starting off at a pleasant 26 degrees centigrade over that area that is central northern Uganda. Well, coming back here at Central Lake Victoria Basin, where we have Kampala, Entebbe, Wakiso, Mukono, we are already seeing that rain system that is coming from the lake. That will also be bringing us rains over a few places, especially those close to Lake Victoria, but also starting off with a chilly 24 degrees centigrade, quite cold also compared to what we were dealing with yesterday, especially across islands of Lake Victoria. Well, that is what we have for you in terms of weather over our country. And we continue with Good Morning Uganda special. We do have very good melodies coming in from Jonas Rayme this morning. Very interesting music. I like when I hear that kind of vocal music. It speaks to the soul, and it's a good way to also usher us into the weekend. I'm excited about the weekend. I mean, we're starting it off with music. In fact, early in the morning, so you can only imagine as the day goes on, we're just building up to more and more good things. Well, we'll also have a Good Morning Uganda agenda coming up and sports, but later on we'll have Good Morning Uganda Extra, and it is a Friday, so you can expect a lot from Good Morning Uganda Extra. My name is Molen Kenyana. I want to wish you a good morning.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by.
Their job is to keep you and me healthy and well. But sometimes they try in vain.
Was brought to you by.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the
Premier League, full stop, and the league is going to go out completely.
I'll tell you, if you have the best player in the world and let him go, you'll never have the TV stake in terms of money. Yeah. So La Liga should have fought. I'll tell you, in 2017, Messi retired from international football. FIFA had talked to the Argentine FA to persuade him to return because the World Cup next in Russia. So now this time around, but La Liga had to fight their way to maintain the best player in the world, and they couldn't. Yeah. So maybe Messi going to France is going to raise the stakes of the league. And I'm sure the TV rights, I saw an advert yesterday on DSTV where they were saying that coming soon. Yeah. I believe it's the French League one.
One last question. Pochettino, PSG, Messi, do you think that's going to really yield? Yeah, who's going to be bigger?
They're both Argentines, so maybe Pochettino will try to work with Messi, but Messi is bigger than Pochettino.
All right. Good Morning Uganda Special Friday is bigger, trust me. And we're done with the sports conversation. Trust me, this is not going to end until this season. The next Messi season does come to a climax. Now, here, speaking of climax, we are going to be climaxing it here on Special Friday with Jonas, Rayme, and Jesse as they give us the roundup of music, setting you up for the weekend, which is a good thing. But I understand you're a Manchester United fan.
Yes.
Our first game is against Leeds.
Leeds.
Expectations, second season they did put up a good performance.
8-0.
It was a strong team. 8-0.
Yes.
Don't overdream, please.
I'm just hoping it's at least 5. Okay.
Okay, because it's a home game, so yes. I hope that should really boost up.
Yeah, we need to be boosted. Game. Yes, true.
Okay, all right. Jesse, what's your team for?
I'm not much of a soccer fan.
Okay, all right. Cool. But at the end of the day, Manchester United, do you expect them to take the cup this time round?
I don't expect them to take the League Cup, but some cups.
Some silver.
Europa or those things.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, back to the music, reason why we're here. As we're finishing it up, what's the plan for the weekend?
Sleep.
Yeah?
Sleep, for real.
Creatives. Creative people. One of their hobbies is sleeping. Okay, after you sleep.
Don't sleep enough, that's the truth.
Okay, the projects that you're working on, what next?
I think I'll go out on a Sunday.
You'll go out on a Sunday.
Yeah.
What's your idea of going out? Which places? Beach? Inside?
Usually I like to go hang out, eat, have fun. Yeah. Not really the beach, but around people, but not in the house. Okay. Yes.
Okay, all right. Go out with friends, have some nice bites, some restaurants that have opened up, really cool places. That is plot that Jonas is recommending for you, but I'm recommending for you music from Jonas Rayme.
Thank you. Let's go. This is a classic. It's a classic.
Classroom.
A classroom. Erinnya lyange olisize nfuufu ogambye abantu ebyennyanja byange byentunda bivundo amagoba gange gakukwasa ensara so nga maanyi gange lwaki oyagala okufuna amangu oyagala binneme ebyange byononeke abaguzi badduke nfiirwe gosanyuke ngenda maaso ebirungi biri maaso ngenda maaso ebirungi biri maaso. Hey, listen. Abantu bansobedde okukyukadde kitwala budde amaaso bakaludde mbalaba baga bakubye koledde omutonze yanjunanze kuba obuyinza buli gyali oyagala binneme nze nfiirwe gojaguze oyagala nkabe nze nkoge bogejje awo naye abantu bafuse abantu kali naye ebigambo bifuse bigangenda maaso ebirungi biri maaso ngenda maaso ebirungi biri maaso. Hey, nange binsobera booluganda baawukana besanga betomera natandika okwekozesa munoonya ng'enswera naye abantu mufuuse abantu kale ab'ebigambo mufuuse abangenda maaso ebirungi biri maaso mu wiikendi ngenda maaso ebirungi biri maaso take it ngenda maaso ngenda maaso gwe tunda mandazi wadde olina kagaali beera n'amaanyi ngenda maaso muwanvu n'omumpi muddugavu n'omweru beera n'amaanyi ngenda maaso ebirungi biri maaso. Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure to be on this show. Another one.
Come on.
Which one? Do you like Aaron Talley?
Yes.
Okay. Which one?
Any. Muyembe, what was that thing? The Muyembe?
Oh, Muyembe.
I said, okay, just give me any. And as we're closing up with this final track with Jonas Rayme, I love the message. Tugende maso. Matters COVID-19 is here. It has disrupted business. It has disrupted life and family. Nevertheless, tugende maso. Sibo mutima, tugende maso. Because ebirungi biri maso. After ebirungi biri mu weekend. Hashtag UBCGMU Special Friday, closing it out with one last song. And just remember to continue following us on our social media platforms. On Twitter at UBCTV Uganda. We also do have Pan-African Friday coming on, and they're going to be discussing what is happening in Zambia post-elections. Yesterday, Zambians went to the election polls. They cast their vote, and now the question is who's going to come out and who's the strongest, and the aftermath of the elections. And of course, we hinted that social media was also blocked in Zambia. And so Jagenda Semakula and the team are going to be here to discuss that with panelists down from Zambia. So stay around from that, from 9 a.m. all the way to 11 p.m. not p.m. a.m.
All right. We go?
We go.
Okay. One. This is going to be a short one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Waliwo omwana gw'ensula ndogotana nzenga sebaka analalira waliwo oluusi bwe mulaba nabula nengugumuka nensisimuka nemmandwa oluusi genda nesala nga ndyawo ekyokola nekinyuma olunaku luziba ne luggwako nga ndyawo mu misinga lwesimulabye mbanga omulogezi bulatudde kamunoonyeko nindooli ndaba lwendikulaba bali tulaba nga tuli mu wiikendi nindooli ndaba lwendikulaba bali tulaba nga tuli ku mbaga
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studio.